Dragon lovers. I'm Hot Nerd Sid, and this is the Hot Nerd Network, your ultimate destination for exploring the rich tapestry of diverse personalities from the real world to Westeros. Today, I'm absolutely thrilled because I'm not alone. I'm joined by my own queen mother, the one and only Hot Nerd Cheryl.
Good morning. Hello, everyone.
Yeah, we're really excited to dive into season two, episode one of House of the Dragon. We're really going to be talking about our favorite scenes from season two, episode one. So, a little bit shorter of a recap today. So, just buckle up because we're about to relive some of the best moments of the season opener. And I'll go ahead and kick things off with one of my picks. I'm a huge fan, even though I'm House Tyrell. Okay, let's get it. Don't get it twisted. Growing strong as a rose does. I
Mhm.
am still a huge, huge fan of Winterfell, the pack mentality, the Starks, and this episode started. It was some nostalgia. They definitely hit us with a nostalgia punch. Got all of us true Game of Thrones fans in the mode set up for the season by playing that Winterfell score. And as soon as I heard it, I was like, wait, and then I saw the redwood trees, okay, and then I saw the castle. I was like, hold up, what's bringing us back to Winterfell, okay? How do you feel about it?
How Stark. I felt great. At first when we were talking about this, I didn't. I was so moved by some of the scenes that I'm going to talk about that didn't really connect to me. Like, wow, what a great way to open up. It was a great way to kind of open up and bring that to build up to what was about to happen and to just kind of show that the son, her oldest son, didn't even know what had happened. But to
Yes,
see the wall, to kind of see him tell, how Stark, their stance and who they are, and they were just so confident. So it was just to see them in that light again was very enlightening and powerful.
absolutely.
Mhm.
And just to like even give set the stage, we're coming off of the season last season where only Rhaenyra knows about Luke and everybody back at Dragonstone. But if you can remember, Jake had actually, or Jacaerys had gone off to visit with House Aaron, I believe, and House Stark. And he was on his way up to the wall. He had already visited House Aaron. Now he's up to Stark. And I should have looked this up beforehand. I'll try to have it by the next time we get together. But I was wondering, how long does it take for a dragon to get up to Winterfell? I don't know, because if you can remember from the first episode of the first season of Game of Thrones, it took Robert and all of his, crew, all his gang, 1 month to go straight from King's Landing to Winterfell. King's Landing is even a bit more north than Dragonstone. So it's just really interesting to me that like I just wonder how long. I don't think it would take a day, but I do think it took much less time for a dragon to ride up
Absolutely. Mhm.
there. You have any
Yeah,
guesses?
and I think also, this is a time span of them filming it because they used the same characters, and the son was so much older. He had different hairstyles, so I guess you just have to kind of go with the fact that this is something they filmed later. But no, I don't think it takes that long. And although everyone looked a little different, older and wiser, but yeah, but yeah, I don't think it takes long at all. Think about no, not Rhaenyra's, Dany, when she
Yeah.
came all the way up to save John and them in Game of Thrones. It didn't take
Yeah.
her long at all to get there.
Oh,
And
good
she had
job,
to get there
mom.
what do you call it? Not the Ravens. The Ravens had to get to them and to get back. So no, and remember the king, what is Baratheon's son, kind of ran. He ran all the way back to the castle to send to the
Oh,
watch to send the
Gendry.
Raven. Say that again.
Gendry.
Yeah, Gendry. Remember,
Yeah.
he had to run all the way back to I can't
Yeah.
believe I
Forgot about
remember
that.
that. He had to run all the way back to the watch to send the Raven. So yeah, she
But
got there fast. So I don't think the
it's
dragons take long at all. I just think it looks that way because they've aged from filming the last season.
no, you're so right. So first off, so much of that last season, which, by the way, have to correct something from the last recap
Oh,
that we
yeah.
did. It was 8 seasons, not 7. I
8
just
seasons.
I
Yeah.
just blocked that 8th season very,
Yeah.
very heavily from my mind and completely forgot that Gendry did that. And then I just asked Google, which now has AI worked into, I guess, Bard or Gemini, whatever they're calling it now. And it says that a dragon from Dragonstone could travel to Winterfell in just over 6 hours, which tracks. That tracks. And it tracks because with Dany, it would have taken her some time, but definitely not a month. So 6 hours makes a lot of sense. That's
Yeah.
insane.
Mhm.
So yeah, just giving us that thought process and setting that up. He was going to visit with Cregan, who is a member of House Stark, but is stationed out the wall because the North was falling low on people to protect the wall and protect from whatever is beyond it. So the Starks, we get this kind of exposition about how the Starks chose a good amount of northern men to go and be stationed at the wall, and as the leaders of this great nation of the North, we have Cregan who is stationed there, and that's where him and Jake are talking. So, we it was just really great because it really did just for me at least continue to set up this world building. I think it delivered the exposition in a really great way too. We get to understand the different motivations of not only these families but of these two boys turned men that have had to, like, grow up fairly quickly because of all of the issues and problems surrounding them.
Yeah.
I just think it
Mhm.
was just a great way to set off the precedent of the season. And of course, we have Winterfell being loyal to their promises that they knelt down to say for Queen Rhaenyra, say they were going to honor it, but they couldn't give too much because they still had to protect what was still there. So they do promise to help support Team Black. But I just thought it was great. It was all great.
It was a great you are absolutely right. It was such a great way to open and just to hear that music and then, just to see it all kind of come out, but it was beautiful. So no, I had to give you that one. That was a good scene to choose.
For season 2, Ryan wanted to come in on the wall and to remind everyone of our ties to the original Game of Thrones and the bigger story that we're a part of.
Hearing that music and seeing Winterfell be revealed over the mountains, it's hard not to get emotional.
It's important we start the season with that. That was such a fond memory for the audience. We've tried to do justice to it.
War is coming. We cannot wage it without the support of the North.
There was a huge amount of care and attention with the Starks. We really wanted to honour the original Game of Thrones.
Walking on the wall, being surrounded by people dressed for the Night Watch, being surrounded by Starks, that was one of the best moments.
It was a thrill. In a way, it was like coming full circle on this crazy experience that I've had within the world of Westeros and this book that I've loved for almost 25 years. To be standing there on a set that was built for a script that I wrote, it was just mind-blowing.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, and I just feel like seeing the Starks, that scene when they walk up onto the watch and look over the I forgot what they call it. I guess beyond the wall, looking
Mhm.
over beyond the wall, just reminded me of that scene when John goes up there with his uncle for the first time. When you think about it, as I watched it just now, I was like, oh my gosh, it's like the same exact scene as them. It was just John and his uncle Jamie, what it was.
Oh, Benjen
Um, Benji, that's what it was, Benji.
and Jin.
Yeah,
Okay.
let me not call Benjin. Let me
Mhm.
not call Benjin Jamie.
Right. Yeah. It
No,
was.
but yeah, that was kind of very surreal. So no, I think he did a great job, and he did an outstanding job, just kind of bringing that to light. So thank you for sharing that.
For sure. Well, what
Mhm.
about you? What was one of your favorite scenes that happened early on in the episode?
Um, I have to say, after that, I think I can't remember exactly what order it happened in, but I loved when Rhaenys came in on Meleys. You know, Meleys is like my favorite dragon. So I loved how she came in and she was just like, I've been out in the war, just protecting my peace, and then here comes Damon trying to rule the world again and tell her what she was going to do and what she was supposed to do. And I just love that girl power. She was like, step back, Damon. I'm not, you don't tell me what to do. You don't run the show. So I've done my part and I'm coming back. Meleys needs to rest. But it was just, it was a great way to just to remind us that Damon is the one who just thinks he controls the whole thing, and that his wife is not the queen, and that and he just not really thinking about her feelings and what she's going through, or thinking she can manage because she's off being sad. But I just love that girl power. It was just to remind us, her coming in saying that the men don't are not running this. I am here. I've done my part. I know what to do, and you need to step back and wait and listen to your wife. I also loved how she reminded him that I know what it's like to have lost a child,
Right.
and I know what she's feeling. So you've got to give her that time. You've got to give her that space. So I just felt like that was setting the foundation up for my next favorite scene, but I'm going to hold off on that. So that was my first favorite.
Well, let's go ahead and take a look at that particular scene, at least like a bit of it, and see like how that kind of went about.
A raven has told Rhaenyra that her son is dead. She needs to know it for certain.
She was a fool to go alone. What if Aemond were to happen upon her?
Then I would pity Aemond. The Queen was wise to recuse herself. She's not acted on the vengeful impulse that others might have.
If you'd have acted when you had the chance, Aegon's line would be extinguished. And Luke would be alive.
Yeah. I actually, until you just reminded me of that statement, he's absolutely right. In some ways, I wish she would have just taken him out then, but I understand why she didn't. Um, but it did kind of allow the whole play out of what I'm expecting to happen in this season by her not taking action then. But I think she was right. It wasn't her action to take, and I totally respected that. And things happen for a reason. I guess this had to play out the way it played out for history's sake. And but yeah, I thank you for reminding me of that, because I forgot that statement was said in that scene.
Yeah, I agree too. Like David had a point.
Hmm.
He was like, "That's all fun and good. That's all great and all everything you're saying, but she wouldn't even be grieving right now if you would have taken action." And there is this kind of balance in the whole of George R. R. Martin's writing in this world around act when you take action and when you don't. And honestly, there's no right or wrong in
Mm-mm.
either or, because many different characters across many different timelines and stories either act too quick or don't act quick enough, and they suffer really harmful consequences for both. So I align with you where that genuinely was not Queen Rhaenys's, or so the queen that never was Rhaenys's
Mhm.
fight to fight, but she did make a statement. It's just that a statement is not as effective as a true result. So I think they're both are pretty interesting there. I also love that she did say, like, she didn't act off of the impulse of others, because we can see also, which connects to one of my favorite scenes later as well,
Mhm.
how
Mhm.
David's impulses can get some people in trouble.
Mhm.
I do want to also just give a little slight promo to another video that dropped this, sooner to now, whenever this is coming out. But it's on the channel. It's called Character of the Week. I deep dive into Daemon Targaryen and his different personality traits throughout different personality systems like Myers-Briggs, Enneagram, and how he actually connects to a lot of the different characters within this world through his different personalities, including his brother, his nephews, and Rhaenyra's other baby daddy. So, hopefully you can go and go check that out. I'll try to link it
Mhm.
right here, I think, like on that side. So, yeah. Any other thoughts? Any last thoughts about your favorite scene, Ma? Or move on?
No, I think it's good. You reminded me of a piece that I hadn't remembered by showing
Mhm.
the video. So thank you for that. No, but I think we covered it all.
Okay, so Bob, I'm actually gonna kick it right back over to you because I'm trying to go in the order of the episode, and from what I know, go ahead and tell the audience what's your second favorite scene of this first episode of season 2 of House of Dragon.
Yeah, so I think after that scene where they're talking about Rhaenyra grieving with Rhaenys and Daemon, I think they flow into actually Rhaenyra just showing that grief, which was just so powerful. Because I think we talked about it afterwards that she only had one line that she said in that whole show,
Yeah.
so all of her emotion was shown in this silent grief that was just so she just acted the heck out of
Hmm.
that role in that particular episode. But mine is when she just like it seems like they're showing the fishermen coming off of the water, and
Yeah.
they're kind of you can see the dragon's wings, and I was like, is that the dragon's wings? Or I was just trying to figure out what was happening. You see her at first, I think she's not on her dragon, and she's just kind of looking around and she's looking sad, but then she comes in, they're like, dragon, and she just comes flying in like she could care less about anyone,
Right.
and she just lands and just comes off of Cyrax is her dragon, just flies off of him and just goes over in this scene of her just grieving over her son's dragon's wing, and she finding his cloak. It was just gut wrenching, but it was so powerful. And I just think all of the scenes in this particular episode, they really hit the mark in making sure that they got the true emotion from each of the actors to show the true feeling of that moment.
Yeah.
And I just thought, as a mother myself, of how I would be so detrimented, and I'm just so I can't imagine. I don't want to ever imagine it, but I understood her pain.
Mhm.
Or at least I could feel her pain. I can't say I understood it, but I could feel it, and just she just did such an amazing job in that scene, in acting it, feeling it. It made me feel like I was just a part of that grieving moment for her. So that was my second favorite scene.
Yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at it just to remind the audience of what that was like.
Wing! House of the Dragon.
So yeah, I forgot about how Cyrax just kind of came back around her like he was hugging her, protecting her, and how he just wrenches out over his own pain. Because anytime she hurts, I think he hurts. And because she said, don't mess with me because I'm afraid for you. He will take you out. She says that in certain scenes in last season. I think she even, oh no, I think last season she said it several times. But yeah, that was just such a sad, sad scene. But I thought well produced, well acted, and it was just something that it made a statement to me from that first episode.
Yeah, it's definitely well acted because it sits with you. Like you don't forget her shaking like that. And I've never had children, but I can't imagine. I can imagine how eerie it would feel to remember how it felt to carry him in her womb, and then to then see that he's no longer here anymore. It's just like that's just it's a different level of grief, like you said, that I don't think any of us would ever want to experience. None of us would. Um, some interesting things to call out, though, outside of the grief itself. Definitely a comedic moment to start off that scene there with everybody running back. But I think you had mentioned this before when we had been discussing the episode right after, in the sense that, of course, the common folk would be scared of the dragons right now. And I think that was like a little bit of like a little like crumbs of what's to come, because wherever dragons fight, people burn, and we've already seen people die when Queen Rhaenys broke out of her captivity last season. And now it's just like all the common folk are kind of collateral damage at this point. So I thought it was interesting that they made sure to show that versus her. They could have chosen to have her roll up and no one was there. I thought that was a pretty pointed choice. And the other choice I thought was not even maybe a choice, but I just think they did such a great job casting um, the characters that were going to replace each other throughout time. Because when she rolls up on the dragon, when she comes off, you wouldn't be able to tell me that wasn't the first Rhaenyra that we saw. She carries herself just like her. The way she runs, she gets off of it. She gets off of it just the same. And it's those little, pieces of acting, again, not with your words, but with your mannerisms that just really um that just really you know showcase the level of production we're talking and dealing with.
Yes. I didn't even really look at that way, Sydney. You're right because it's aligning her with her younger self.
Mhm.
And I don't know if that was on purpose or not, but you're absolutely right. It was like she was the more mature adult version of her younger self, and you can see that, like you could see that they were the same person,
Mhm.
and if that's how it really took place. But yeah, that was amazing acting. But I first thought you were going to say that it reminded you of Danny, because to me,
Oh,
it kind of reminded me of Danny and her grief of when the dragon was killed,
yeah.
in that, in that, in season 8.
You
But
know what?
yeah.
You're so right. Again, a
Mhm,
season that I blocked from my memory. I forgot about that. That is so true. She does cry similar. Honestly,
mhm,
though, what's more so going through my mind, not Danny, is the fact that I feel like Rhaenyra is crying, of course, for Luke, but for so much loss. We haven't seen her particularly cry in this way, not for her mother, where in her lost baby
mhm,
uh, brother,
mhm,
um, she was stricken and there were tears in her eyes, but she wasn't sobbing. If anything, she was looking at her father like, why aren't you saying Jakars? Why aren't you finishing this out? Finish what you started. She was in anger at that point. Anger is a big cover up for grief.
mhm,
Um, then we move to fast forward in the series to when she actually she loses the stillborn daughter, and has to step up to be queen, even then there's sadness that covers, and she loses her father too, all at once.
Mhm.
Sadness that covers her, but it's not this sobbing grief. She hops into action. Again, solutionizing is another way to cover grief, but now all of that is switched back, stripped away. Anger, solutionizing, all of that is stripped away when she loses her son.
Yeah. And I
And
think she felt at fault,
yeah,
because she sent them off. I can't imagine you don't second guess yourself.
yeah,
But I want to go back to what you said about her father when she had to say Dracarys. I didn't look at her as being angry. I think she felt like she had to stand in and take care. I think she was very sad for her father because she's like, he always wanted this son. And again, now, I never am going to live up to, it's that pressure of having
yeah,
to, be the reminder that he doesn't have a son. And so Damon, I remember him saying to her, "You've got to step up and help your dad." And she was so strong. I just showed her strength to me, but I didn't get the feeling that she was angry. I
mm,
just think she just felt like I've got to do this for my dad, and it's just hard because it's also her mother. So she was grieving for her mom, but I didn't get her being angry with her dad. But that's just my opinion. Yeah,
that's fair.
yeah.
It's fair. Well, yeah, no, thank you for bringing that scene to our attention. I believe that was we each chose two, so that was your last scene, favorite scene. But I will go ahead and move on to my last favorite scene, and that is, I'm gonna cheat here. It's a mixture of two scenes, but all with the same, relatively same characters. I want to put a spotlight on a character we didn't talk too much about in our recap, but is Queen Helaena. Um, and I really, really like Queen Helaena. Just to set the stage for those who might not know, Queen Helaena is Alicent's one and only daughter. And she is, Alicent last season married her two children together to make sure that the power stayed within the Hightower Targaryen alliance. And so King Aegon II, who was her first son, and her daughter, Queen Helena, are now married. And we kind of saw a bit of their marriage last season, but there was much more going on. But we do know that King Aegon definitely sleeps around on her. There's not no romance there at all. It's just Queen Helena has had uh, two children in the series, in the TV series. In the book, she actually had three at this point, two sons and one daughter. Here she has twins, one daughter and one son that look just alike, so much so that even the king himself could hardly tell the two from each other. And I like that they kind of set that scene up in the beginning. It was very funny, because it's also coupled with Queen Helena just being her naturally awkward self. But she's awkward because it's suggested both in the last series and in this one that she has this ability to see into the future.
Mhm.
And I was talking to some of my line sisters about this. We have a Dim Dragons uh, group that discusses House of the Dragon for all those who love it. And I was saying to them, doesn't Queen Helena remind you? It feels like this universe is Luna Lovegood for my Harry Potter
Yeah.
fans out there.
He does, which when Luna Lovegood is my one of my favorites from Harry Potter because
Oh
we're
yeah,
both Ravenclaw.
yeah,
But yeah, but yeah, I see that absolutely because Luna also could kind of see and
yeah,
feel and know what was going to happen. Maybe not in that same way, but she definitely understood things that other people didn't understand. She saw things that others didn't see. So you're absolutely right. What a great comparison. Yes,
yeah.
agree.
Definitely the intuitives here.
Mhm,
Okay, and
mhm,
so
mhm,
I just like that she says we need to do something about these rats. Right,
mhm,
one
mhm,
scene.
mhm.
Fast forward to the end of the episode, which kicks off Damon's impulses. Rhaenyra, our scenes kind of like all tie into each other.
They
Rhaenyra's
do.
one,
They
one
do.
line
Mhm.
is bring me Aemon. Damon he's like, you don't gotta tell me twice, okay? You
Oh
want
yeah,
me to
but
do
I don't
something.
even think she says "Bring me Aemon." And I don't know if you have that scene. I think she says "I want Aemon." Does she say
Yes,
"Bring me Aemon" or "I want Aemon"?
something along those lines. I can't
Yeah, something along
remember.
those lines. Either way, but go ahead. I
Damon was like, Damon said she didn't say dead or alive.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so I'm in the clear. I get to have free creative, expression over this. And he's like, let's go. Rah, rah. You want me to do something about this? I'm
Mm-mm.
your guy. So Damon actually, I feel like, sets up a pretty good plan. I'll give him. I mean, Damon he's a good warhead. Like, I think that he has a great head for when you need to act. Set
Mhm.
him on. He's a dragon in
Yeah, he's
itself.
a dragon. Mhm.
Um,
He's fire.
so he
Mhm.
is, but he doesn't always have to use like brute force. I mean, this is definitely brutal, sorry, but I mean he doesn't have to use like armies of men. He knows how to set up some espionage, which I thought was so cool. To set up some espionage here at the end of the episode. It's like I love different types of action scenes that don't just involve like a battle. And so to see this setup and Helena's setup of worry about the rats, David happens to choose a rat catcher in the actual castle itself
Mhm.
to be able to come in and infiltrate. And so I forgot the rat catcher's name. That's terrible, but they didn't seem to
I
care
don't
much about.
remember either. Mhm.
And from what I could see, the other big guy that Damon had, he was a gold cloak that
Yeah.
turned. So he was a gold cloak that was loyal to Damon, but still
Mhm.
worked for King Aegon II. So,
Mhm.
of course, it's going to it all. I just love how the storytelling makes sense. The world building. Whoever's on the world building team, bravo to you, because it would make sense that a gold cloak who like a gold cloak would be more loyal to David because David was the one who even started the gold cloaks as a
Mhm.
whole unit.
Oh, I
So
didn't realize that. Okay.
in
Mhm.
the first
Mhm.
season, he was the one who actually he was like, it's not just enough to have the King's Guard patrol the city because they need to be worried about the king. We need gold, like this thing called gold cloaks, who are loyal to only the crown. Men who are only loyal to the crown. They're not men borrowed from other houses. These are men that are just for the crown to be used to protect King's Landing. So that's how
Wow.
the gold cloaks were started, and
Mhm.
Damon was the inception of that. So gold cloak and rat catcher make their way like little rats into the keep and the red keep. And I
Mhm.
just love it because we often hear in the main Game of Thrones series about all of the little passageways that were made. And
Mhm.
I just love whenever that's used in the stories because it's such an underlying like running thematic thing in the entire series. And so we see them working their ways up. We see them getting into little tiffs with themselves. It just was such great acting, and the suspense was off the chain when they come into. You could obviously see that Aemond and Kriston had just been there, but they weren't there for some reason anymore, so they could have just had them. But then they start to look around where everything is, and they come up on a woman that she knows something's up because she's like, I know somebody's not supposed to be here. So she runs away. She's like, I don't want no smoke. Then they come into the room, and who do they have that the rat catcher knows is Queen Helaena. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Whew. And what did you think about Queen Helena's decision here?
Oh my gosh. Well, first, you reminded me of something. Another thing that I think we missed talking about in the first recap
Mhm.
is all the passageways. I don't know if you remember, but now that I think about it, the same passageway that Rhaenyra went through when she was a younger girl to go meet Daemon, and she
Yes.
came out on that side, is the same exact passageway that Rhaenys took with the twin
Oh,
guard.
yeah.
They took that same journey, passing the dragon, going
Yep.
out, and they come out on that same staircase. And I
Yes.
just totally forgot about that until you said about the
I didn't even
passageways.
realize
It's
at
just
all.
all
Good,
the
good.
storytelling and the
Yeah.
layers that they have put in here, and I wanna give homage to that because it's just beautiful.
Yes.
But, yeah, thinking about her decision, your dad, of course, I know the two of you read the books, and I think he told me one way that it really happened in the book, and then you corrected me,
Yeah.
and said, no, dad is wrong. It's really happened this way.
Yep.
So I don't know what's true, but in the show, it actually was just so gut wrenching of how she did it. Cause I don't know if she really meant for, um, them to choose the daughter or the son, or what her mindset was behind her decision.
Yeah.
But it was just so heartbreaking that the rat catcher realized, oh no, she's telling the truth. And because she pointed to her son, and I think she was feeling that they'll think she was lying and take her daughter, but they really knew that she was pointing to her son and took the son. And so she grabs her daughter and she ran. But just knowing that they were killing that poor little boy, and I just, you could just hear it. They didn't show it, but you could hear what they were doing to him. And I don't know if they were chopping his head off or what they were doing.
Like
It
they
was
were.
just awful. It was like, oh my gosh, and how scared she was. But that layering from the beginning, how she looked at Aegon before he left with her son, to say, she says, I'm afraid. He was like, you're afraid of what? I'm afraid of the rats. And then he was like, isn't my wife just special? And they all are just, yes, King Aegon or whatever. I was like, I didn't know what that meant at the time. But then when it all came back around and the rat catcher was the one who came in and took her baby, it was like, oh boy, she just has that vision.
Yep.
But
Oh yeah.
yeah, I feel so it was I don't even know. I don't know what's true, like what was really in her mind. I just know it was just horrible that had happened to her.
Oh yeah, I think that's what's so great about the storytelling. We'll never know. This could
Yeah,
be a debate forever. Who
yeah.
was she
Mhm,
truly? Because in the books, it's a lot more cutthroat. Like not cutthroat. It's a lot more straightforward. Just to give a curtain back for everybody and to correct my father. In the book, she had three children. Okay,
mhm,
which I
mhm,
think is what probably tripped Daddy up. Two sons, one daughter. They
mhm,
wanted a son for a son. We all knew that, right? We all saw that
mhm,
in the show.
mhm,
And so it was really a choice between for her, um, that they gave her, are you going to, we're going to give you a choice, which is awful. You want to kill the older son or the younger son. In the book, she chooses the younger son to kill. And what they instead wind up doing is killing the older one and telling the younger one, who was coherent at the time, your mommy wants you dead, and just leaves. They just leave. Um, whereas here, this is why I'm saying, this is what I'm saying. This is why I love that the TV takes its own will. When it takes its own will, when another adaptation, adapts it just slightly to make it's not better, but just make it a little more interesting. Because in this portion, we do not know. Since now she has between a daughter and a son that look just alike. You cannot tell what they look like in this universe.
mm-mm,
Now we will never know if she was pointing to the son because they thought she was going to take the daughter, which is what you think. Or in my head, where I'm going to stand on this, is I think she was truly pointing to the son and looking at the rat catcher because she was like, believe me, and she wanted to protect her daughter. And the thing is why I think that, because Helena's not dumb. She's not special. She's not
no,
dumb.
she's
She's not
not.
all of that.
Hmm.
What she is a person, a woman, another woman like Allison that has just been, her life has been figured out for her. It has been determined for her. And I don't think that she particularly wanted to marry her brother. I don't think that she really even wanted to be queen. And
Mm-mm.
so this, in a sense, does, I mean, there could be pressure that comes back on her to have another child with Aegon, but this does, in a sense, take the pressure off of her daughter and her a bit, and instead put it back onto King Aegon, and now who would be his new heir in this
There.
case would have to
Mhm,
be Aemond, his brother.
mhm, mhm.
And so that whole thing will have to be figured out. And I'm not saying that she figured all that out in her head right in that very moment, but I can see Helena valuing her daughter a bit more than her son, whether that's right or not, just off the strength that no one really valued her because of her gender for most of her life. They just saw her more as a pawn. So that might be me projecting a bit, but I can see why she would want them to choose her son over her daughter. And I can see what you're saying, where she wanted to give them a little alley-oop, think that they were lying, and instead try to protect her son, because what mother is going to make a decision between her children like that? It's like the decision no one can make,
No, it is. Yeah, it is. It's hard to make that choice. It shouldn't be a choice you would have to make, but you make a very good point. I didn't really think about it from that viewpoint, but yeah, I don't think yeah, that's a very good point, Sydney, because I really think that she has also always not regretted, but been begrudging over the fact that you're right, that she has it. That's kind of said and layered in certain areas. Even last season when she tells um, the other family's daughters with the white hair, when
Yeah.
she says all it is that they get drunk, they lay on you. I can't remember exactly how she says it, but she was like, marriage is not fun. But she does play on the fact that she just really doesn't have a choice. She's just living. So that's a very good point. I could see that angle too. But like you said, we'll never know. It
I love
leaves
that.
it for everyone to go away with their own perspective and their own interpretation, and you just have your interpretation for your own mindset. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yikes. Yeah, so I just thought that the whole weaving was
Hmm.
incredibly done. Great way
Hmm.
to end the episode. Great way to honor that is legitimately one of the biggest moments in the House of Dragon, or the Targaryen dynasty history. Like that, even more so than Luke's death. They did such a great job with Luke's death, but that is what is like one of the biggest. That's always what's known as the kickoff to the Dance of the Dragon. So now we've had a full season and an episode to set the stage for the war, and now we understand why everybody would be just hurt, because now not only have we focused a lot on Rhaenyra's grief, but now we're gonna turn over to Aegon and Queen Alicent's grief over a son and a grandson lost, a whole lot, like almost a line wiped out, almost. And what's gonna happen next? Who knows?
Who
Who
knows?
knows? So I'm
Um,
excited for tomorrow's episode, man.
yeah, I know. At least we're almost there because it's been a long week waiting for that episode.
I'm so
Um,
glad you're into it now, because now we can like nerd out.
I know, because if you haven't watched a recap, I wasn't really going to finish this because I didn't get the feeling. I had to get past episode 3 of
Yeah,
the first season, but once I got past that, I got that whole burning sensation again about, oh my gosh, I have to know what's going to happen.
yeah,
But I think you had another scene, but I wanted to make a point of something that I forgot to
yeah.
mention. Um, the scene when Vagar is coming back with Aemon and they have that weapon that I thought was created in the Game of Thrones, but I don't know because they made it seem like in the Game of Thrones that Maester came up with that whole weapon. The kind of crazy Maester who was weird. He was kind of
Oh yeah, Qyburn.
yeah,
Mhm.
he came up with that weapon that actually hurt the dragons that they were to that gosh, I can't remember the queen's name, but
Oh,
the man
Scorpion. The
the
Scorpions. Yeah.
scorpion to
Hmm.
kill the dragons.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was so funny. I immediately thought of that when I saw that machine. They were like, oh
Yeah.
no, it's Vagar, so don't shoot it. Because they were getting ready to shoot it, but it's the same type of machine or,
Yes.
or a contraption or whatever. I forgot to mention that because it was such a connection of Game of Thrones to that. I don't know if they meant to do that, but I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, great honorable mention. And it makes sense in the world itself that they would have stuff like that back then developed, versus when we fast forward 174 years in the future and the dragons have been gone for years and years and years, all of that would have been gone in the dust. So Qyburn probably, as a maester, looked up that they had used that type of stuff before the past or the Dance of Dragons. So great world building there. I'll go ahead and give an honorable mention scene that I already talked to you about, but for the audience's sake, I just have to say, even though it might have been a throwaway scene, an exposition scene, I really did love that we got, for the first time ever in the series, 2 Black men talking on camera with Lord Corlys and a new character called Alan or Alwyn. I forgot his name. It's terrible. But I really did love that we got just these 2 Black men talking, and it made sense because it's Corlys talking to one of the men from the Valerian kingdom. And I just thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it was. It was cool because, it's just showing the diversity that the Game of Thrones is a diverse, the houses are diverse, the people, just like the world is. It gave a more realistic feel. I thought just having that family, just being a part as a family of color, because that is who, the world has people of color. So I do think that it was significant that they had that. And I also thought it was a lot of foreshadowing. There's going to be more layers to that story, that storyline. I got the feeling. So I think we're going to see more of that in the season. But bravo to the writers and the directors for just kind of even putting those layers in there.
I still.
Who the fuck is she?
She's the queen, she is.
A son for a son, he said. Or does she look like a fucking son to you?
Over there. We need to get our head and get out.
They said get ahead and get out.
They both look the same. Which one's a boy?
Maybe that one.
We'll look for a cock.
The mother knows.
Do anything but what I ask, and I'll bleed the whole lot of you. Shh. Which?
I have a necklace. It's of great value.
He said, give me that.
That's not a son. Wait. It's the other one. She's not going to give up the king's heir that easy.
No. She's telling true.
Hold him down.
They killed the boy.
Yeah, it's just there are no words. And I don't know if you saw, I just kind of was like, oh my gosh, when I heard the song again, because that's just eerie and awful. And it kind of reminded me, what was it? Gosh, I had a scene in my head of gosh, I had something in my mind in regards to that happening before, but I can't remember it. But yeah, that was just gut wrenching. I think because it just came out of my mind because it
I don't know
was
if you're thinking about it, but I'm thinking about when Theon got his manhood
yeah,
taken.
that wasn't what I was thinking about. I was thinking about how there was another mistake, or someone else had to be taken instead of the person who was really meant to kill, because they really meant to go there to kill Aemon. And I feel like there was another very similar scene in the Game of Thrones where someone else was taken to be killed instead of who they really meant to kill. But I could be thinking wrong. It's going to come back to me later on. But the next time we do the other scene, if it comes back to the next time we do a recap, I'll mention it.
Okay. Y'all already know like what scene Mom's talking about, then let us know in the comments below. But that on a very eerie, but also, I'm sorry, hilarious note. The hilarious part first was she said, "I'm going to give y'all this necklace just as a regular Robert. Of course, I will take that too." Like,
yeah, I'm like, they're coming in. They're still gonna get their job, but yeah, give me that. I would take that too. But that's not gonna stop us from taking your son.
It's not going to deter me, but
I know.
but
You're desperate. As a mother, she was just trying again. It didn't really, to her, she's like, I'm just trying to think of what I can do to get resolution here without them taking my child.
Yeah.
That's just a natural thing as a mother. It was a bit comedic because it's like that's not going to work. but yeah, I understand the emotion at the moment. You can just imagine.
I would probably try the same, but
yeah,
there was that, and then the whole we didn't even talk about Allison and Kristen. I think because I want to save that for a future time, so I'll save my thoughts there. But that was hilarious too, because it's like one of those things where I'm sure everybody knows that that's happening, but now it's just like,
it's like it's out there. The daughter's like, I don't really care. I'm coming to tell you that they killed the boy.
Yeah,
they killed my son. So yeah, I don't think she could even. She probably didn't even see any of that. She was just so distraught. She was trying to get someplace safe with someone who would understand what was happening to her.
Could do something about it. Yeah, it's just kind of crazy. What a way to end.
In that particular episode, absolutely.
Yeah.
And everyone's on pins and needles. I know that has been, anyone who's a fan of this series is all week probably distracted, like thinking, okay, what's going to happen on Sunday?
What happened, man? So yeah, those are our favorite scenes from episode 1. We want to hear from you before you watch episode 2. If you haven't watched it by the time this has come out, what were your standout moments? Drop a comment below and let's discuss. Please don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into your favorite shows and characters. There's so much more to come from the Hot Nerd Network, so please stay tuned. And yeah, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Thank you.